He ran a crypto exchange worth $32 billion and gave himself a backdoor into every user's cash. $8 billion of it, gone in 10 days. 1 million people still waiting on money that was never there. He gave $40 million to politicians. Congress called him to testify. He got arrested instead. This is the story of Sam Bankman-Fried, the boy genius they crowned the king of crypto. Rumpled shirt, cargo shorts, the most trusted man in crypto. Berkeley, California, 2017. Before all this, he was just a physics major at MIT. Both parents taught law at Stanford. He grew up arguing ethics at the dinner table. After school, he took a job at Jane Street, one of Wall Street's most secretive firms. He learned to price risk fast and never flinch. He believed in something called effective altruism. Earn a fortune, give away nearly all of it. In 2017, he quit Jane Street. He chased a new idea instead, crypto arbitrage. Bitcoin traded for different prices on different sites, sometimes 10% apart on the same coin. Buy it low in Japan, sell it high in the US. You didn't need Wall Street to see that gap. That gap alone was the whole business. He named the firm Alameda Research, run out of an apartment in Berkeley. Within a year, it moved $25 million a day. He hired from his own world, old classmates, fellow traders. One was Caroline Ellison, a Jane Street alum. Another was Gary Wang, a coder since he was a teen. In 2019, he and Wang built something bigger, an exchange of their own. They called it FTX, a place to trade the bets nobody else would touch. Complex bets, dozens of coins, huge leverage. 2021 was crypto's best year ever, and Bitcoin kept setting new records. Within 2 years, FTX moved $10 billion a day. Investors lined up, Sequoia, SoftBank, a piece of Singapore's own wealth fund. Staff called him the smartest boss they'd ever had. But nobody outside a small circle knew about the second business. Its own floor, its own staff. Almost no one let in. That second business was Alameda Research. It wasn't like any other account on FTX. Gary Wang built it a secret exception in FTX's own code. Here's the trick in one line. Alameda's balance could go negative. No limit, no warning. Every other user who overdrew got shut down fast. Alameda never did. Regulators later sized that hidden line at $65 billion. In plain terms, user cash and Alameda's trading pot were one pool of money. Same. About $10 billion moved from FTX users into Alameda. Alameda spent it to cover trading losses nobody else saw. Some bought Bahamas real estate, homes tied to staff. Some funded side bets, sports teams, AI firms, a stake in a bank. Some of it, you already know this, the $40 million in donations. And one thing held the whole structure up. FTX's own coin, FTT. FTX had simply made FTD up. Alameda held billions of it as backup. Backup that FTX itself set the price of. Picture a bank that owns the only press that prints its own money, a press only it is allowed to run. That's what Alameda's books actually were. Numbers on a page, not real money in a vault. On paper, none of it looked like a crime. It looked like a very good trading firm, run by people everyone already trusted. Users checking their FTX balance saw a normal number, sitting there, ready to pull out. It wasn't ready. It had already left the building. Auditors signed off. Investors wired more cash. Nobody asked where Alameda's side of the books actually went, or why one firm never got checked the same way. Even inside FTX, only a few people knew how deep the hole went. Nishad Singh, the head engineer, later said the real numbers made him sick. Caroline Ellison ran Alameda day to day and answered, in the end, to one man. The answer to every shortfall was always the same. The numbers don't work. We're short. Borrow more against the backdoor. Keep moving. Use the FTX line. It's always been fine. From outside, the machine looked unstoppable. New users signed up by the millions, chasing what everyone called the safest name in crypto. Magazines called him the next JP Morgan, the man who would finally clean the whole industry up, the same way Morgan once had. The joke, his own firm was the dirtiest book in it. For 3 years, the Backdoor held. Then, in the fall of 2022, somebody outside the firm finally opened the real books, line by line. By January 2022, FTX was worth $32 billion. Sequoia, SoftBank, even a Canadian teacher's pension fund. On paper, Bankman-Fried himself was worth up to $26 billion. 29 years old. Forbes put him at the top of its under 30 wealth list. He didn't dress like it. Same rumpled shirt, same cargo shorts, same wild hair. Reporters love that. It made him look like the one billionaire who hadn't changed. The press even had a nickname ready, the King of Crypto. But FTX had almost no real board, no outside directors asking hard questions, no one really minding the books either. A firm moving billions a day was run less like a bank, more like a dorm, a tight circle of friends who trusted each other completely and answered to almost no one else. Most of that circle lived together in one Bahamas penthouse worth tens of millions. The Bahamas gave FTX low taxes and a friendly regulator. In 2021, FTX bought 19 years of naming rights on a Miami arena. $135 million, just to put its name on the door. Then came the Super Bowl. FTX bought a national ad starring Larry David. David spent the whole minute mocking history's best ideas. The wheel, the toilet, coffee. Then he looks at FTX and says the line, "I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff." It's now the most quoted line in the whole disaster. Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, Steph Curry, all paid to put their faces on it. That year, he gave away about $40 million in donations. Second biggest donor to Democrats in the whole country, behind only George Soros. He testified to Congress about crypto rules. Lawmakers treated him like the one adult in a room full of people who didn't understand the technology. He was booked to testify again that December. Real estate, startup stakes, new gear in every office. You didn't need a finance degree to see the number climb. You just had to trust the t-shirt. It wasn't real. It was a number on a screen propped up by a coin FTX made itself. Nobody lining up to invest could see that part. The valuation, the net worth, the naming rights, all of it sat on the same hollow floor. And that floor was about to be tested by the one thing crypto can never fake. A wave of people wanting their money back all at once. November 2nd, 2022. A crypto news site published a leak, Alameda's own balance sheet. $14.6 billion in assets, the leak said. But the single biggest piece, over $3.5 billion, was FTT, the coin FTX had made up itself. Alameda's cushion was mostly a coin only its own exchange could price. The story spread across crypto Twitter within hours. One reader was watching very closely. He ran FTX's biggest rival, Changpeng Zhao. Everyone called him CZ. Ran Binance, the largest crypto exchange on earth. Years earlier, Binance sold its own FTX stake back to Bankman-Fried. Paid in FTT. Binance was still sitting on billions of that same coin. For 4 days, CZ said nothing in public. Then, on November 6th, he posted one tweet. Binance would sell every FTT token it held. The man he'd once done a deal with had just declared war. FTT's price started falling within minutes. Down 10%, then 20%, then more. You could watch the number fall live in an app. Users did the only sane thing. They tried to get their money out. A bank run on a bank that swore it could never have one. Withdrawal requests hit $6 billion in 72 hours. Inside FTX, staff found the money wasn't there to give back. The gap between what users were owed and what FTX held was huge. November 8th, FTX froze withdrawals completely. That same day, Binance agreed to buy the whole company. For about a day, it looked like a rescue. Then Binance's own accountants opened the books. What they found, people close to it said, was a hole running into the billions. Money that should have sat untouched. It simply wasn't there. Binance walked away the next day. November 9th. The deal was dead, and so, most assumed, was FTX. November 10th. The Bahamas froze what was left of FTX's local assets. That same day, Bankman-Fried posted the first of 22 tweets. He opened with 2 words. Then he admitted, in his own words, that he'd messed up. November 11th. FTX, Alameda, and about 130 link firms filed for bankruptcy. Bankman-Fried resigned as CEO that same day. His replacement had one very specific resume line. John Ray had spent his career cleaning up wrecks, including one called Enron. Ray filed a court statement. Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. And Ray had cleaned up Enron once already. 1 million people were suddenly owed money nobody could find. Behind the clean app, there was supposed to be a vault. There wasn't. Every headline that week said some version of the same thing. The money is not there. December 12th, 2022. Nassau, the Bahamas. The next morning, he was set to testify before Congress about exactly what had gone wrong. He never got the chance. That night, Bahamian police arrested him on a U.S. request. The hearing happened without him. The next conversation would be in a courtroom. Within weeks, the people closest to him started talking. Gary Wang, who wrote the original code, pleaded guilty and agreed to help the government. So did Caroline Ellison, who'd run the numbers herself. Nishad Singh, the engineer the real numbers made sick, pleaded guilty too. 3 of his closest people, testifying against him before the trial had even started. October 3rd, 2023, his criminal trial opened in Manhattan. The case was simple. They said he took users' money and spent it like his own. Caroline Ellison spent nearly 3 days on the stand. She said he told her to use user funds for Alameda's losses for investments, for real estate, for the donations. When all fell apart, part of her felt relief. She didn't have to lie anymore. Bankman-Fried took the stand himself, a risky move in his own defense. I never meant to steal from anyone. His lawyer said he never meant to steal anything, just to move fast in a business that moved fast. You spent it like it was already yours. They even used the Super Bowl ad against him. Proof, they argued, that FTX never really kept its U.S. users separate. If you sat in that jury box, the t-shirt wasn't the point anymore. The jury did not agree. November 2nd, 2023. Guilty on all 7 counts. Guide fraud, conspiracy, securities fraud, money laundering. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams stepped up to the microphones. He said, Sam Bankman-Fried perpetrated one of the biggest financial frauds in American history, a multi-billion-dollar scheme designed to make him the king of crypto. The nickname the magazines gave him read back as a charge sheet. March 28th, 2024. Sentencing day. Judge Lewis Kaplan gave him 25 years and ordered him to pay back $11 billion. $8 billion of it tied to the users who lost their cash. The rest, money raised on false promises and debts owed to Alameda's own lenders. Caroline Ellison was sentenced separately that September to 2 years. The judge called her help very, very substantial and drew a hard line between her and him. Gary Wang and Nishad Singh had both pleaded guilty and testified against him. The company is still being unwound, one claim at a time. None of it unfroze the accounts that stayed frozen 2 straight years. The boy genius who was going to save crypto from itself is now just another name on a very long list. For a while, almost everyone believed the story. The regulators who let him testify like an expert. The reporters who loved the t-shirt. The politicians who cashed his checks. We wanted a genius who could make crypto safe. We got a fraud who made it look safe instead. Even the ad got it right by accident. I don't think so, and I'm never wrong about this stuff. The one man whose whole job was to say no, said yes, and got paid for a Super Bowl ad to prove it. The backdoor that made him rich is gone now, deleted along with the company. But the shape of it, trust me, don't check the books, never really goes away. He built a business on being the one guy you never had to double check. It started in a Berkeley apartment, on a bet that the numbers would hold. It ended in a cell, 25 years long. Somewhere tonight, another kid in cargo shorts is raising around on that very same promise.